There is a moment, and you know exactly what it feels like, when something shifts inside your chest. Your heart stops being something you ignore and becomes something you cannot escape. It pounds, it races, it thunders against your ribs like it is trying to break free. You feel it in your throat, in your ears, behind your eyes, and for a few breathless seconds, your entire universe collapses into that single, terrifying rhythm. But here is the question no one ever stops to ask. Why? Why does fear, an emotion, an invisible thing, reach inside your body and hijack your heart? Why does your pulse explode the second you see a shadow move in the dark, or hear a sound you cannot explain, or stand at the edge of something impossibly tall? The answer is one of the most fascinating stories in all of biology, and it begins not with your heart, but with a tiny, almond-shaped cluster of cells buried deep inside your brain, a structure that has been keeping your ancestors alive for hundreds of millions of years. Meet the amygdala. It is small, it is ancient, and it is, without question, the most powerful alarm system ever engineered by evolution. The amygdala does not think, it does not reason, it does not wait for your conscious mind to catch up. The moment it detects something that looks, sounds, smells, or feels like a threat, it does one thing and one thing only. It screams. That scream is not sound, it is chemistry. In a fraction of a second, faster than you can blink, faster than you can form a single conscious thought, the amygdala fires a signal to a structure called the hypothalamus. Think of the hypothalamus as the command center of your body. It receives the alarm and immediately begins broadcasting an emergency broadcast to every major system you have. The message is simple, brutal, ancient. It is the same message that has been sent in a moment of danger since before mammals walked the earth. Something is wrong. Get ready. Move now. And so your body moves. The hypothalamus triggers your adrenal glands, two small triangular organs sitting on top of your kidneys, to flood your bloodstream with adrenaline. You might know adrenaline by its other name, epinephrine. Whatever you call it, in the context of fear, it is rocket fuel. It is the substance that turns ordinary human beings into people who lift cars off trapped children, who sprint faster than they ever have in their lives, who feel no pain in the middle of a crisis. Adrenaline hits your heart like a detonator. Your heart has its own internal pacemaker, a tiny node of specialized cells called the sinoatrial node, and adrenaline reaches it almost instantly. It tells the sinoatrial node to fire faster, much faster. Your resting heart rate, usually somewhere between 60 and 100 beats per minute, can more than double in seconds. 140 beats per minute, 160, sometimes more. That pounding you feel when you are terrified is not your heart malfunctioning. It is your heart performing exactly as designed, pushing oxygen-rich blood to the muscles that will carry you away from danger. But the adrenaline does not stop there. It also tells your heart to contract more forcefully with each beat. More blood, more pressure, more power. Your blood vessels near your skin and your digestive organs constrict, redirecting circulation to where it matters most. Your legs, your arms, your lungs, your brain. You go pale. You feel cold. You might feel slightly nauseous because your stomach is suddenly receiving far less blood than it was a moment ago. None of that matters to evolution. What matters is that your muscles are primed to run or to fight. Your lungs open wider. Your airways dilate so that more oxygen can flood in with every breath. You start breathing faster, sometimes so fast it feels like you cannot get enough air. Your pupils dilate to let in more light, expanding your field of vision. Your sweat glands activate, coating your skin in moisture that will help regulate your temperature during intense physical exertion, and, as a bonus, makes you harder to grab. Harder to grab. Think about that for a moment. Your body is so finely tuned for survival that it even makes you slippery. While all of this is happening in your body, something equally dramatic is happening in your brain. The fear response does not just activate your physical systems, it shifts the way you think. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning, rational thought, and complex decision-making, gets temporarily deprioritized. Evolution has decided that in a moment of genuine danger, you do not need to think deeply. You need to react instantly. This is why, when you are truly terrified, it can feel impossible to think clearly. It is not weakness. It is a feature. Meanwhile, your brain floods with a secondary cocktail of stress hormones, most notably cortisol. Cortisol sustains the alarm state, ensuring that your body stays on high alert even after the initial adrenaline spike. It also suppresses certain functions, your immune system, your reproductive system, your digestion, that are simply not necessary in an emergency. Survival first, everything else later. All of this, every single one of these cascading changes, happens in under a second. Before you have consciously processed what frightened you, your body is already in full emergency mode. Your heart is already hammering. Your muscles are already tensed. You are already, in the most literal biological sense, ready for war. Scientists call this the fight-or-flight response. You have heard the name, but there is a third option that is less often talked about: freeze. Sometimes, when the brain receives a threat signal and calculates that neither fighting nor fleeing is likely to work, it chooses a different strategy entirely. It shuts movement down. You go still. Your heart still races, but your body becomes rigid, locked. This is not weakness either. Freezing is an ancient survival strategy used by prey animals across the animal kingdom. Sometimes, the safest thing to do is become invisible. Now, here is something that will genuinely change how you think about all of this. The amygdala, your ancient alarm system, cannot always tell the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. It processes incoming information incredibly fast, but it is not always accurate. It is built for speed, not precision. This means that your body launches the exact same biological emergency response, whether you are actually in danger or whether you are simply watching a horror movie, standing in line to speak in public, or lying in bed at 3 a.m. imagining worst-case scenarios. Your heart pounds, your hands sweat, your chest tightens, even though there is absolutely nothing there. This is not a flaw, or rather, it was not a flaw for most of human history. The cost of a false alarm, your heart racing for 30 seconds because a shadow turned out to be a bush, not a predator, is essentially zero. The cost of missing a real threat, fatal. Evolution made a very deliberate calculation, and it chose to err on the side of overreacting every single time. You inherited that calculation. You carry it with you everywhere you go. And there is something almost breathtaking about that when you really sit with it. Every time you feel your heart race in fear, every single time, you're experiencing an unbroken chain of survival stretching back to the very first creatures that ever needed to escape something that wanted to eat them. Your amygdala learned its job before mammals existed, before primates, before your family, your country, your language, or your name had any meaning in the universe at all. You are not having a panic attack. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are running software so old and so refined that it has survived every extinction event, every ice age, every catastrophe that the Earth has ever thrown at the living creatures on its surface. When your heart pounds in fear, it is doing exactly what it was built to do, keeping you alive at all costs. So the next time you feel that familiar thunder in your chest, the racing pulse, the sharp intake of breath, the cold clarity that crashes over you in a wave, take just one moment before you run or fight or freeze. Not to dismiss the feeling, not to push it away, just to recognize it for what it is. You are not falling apart. You are working perfectly. You are running the most tested, most battle-proven survival program ever written, encoded into your biology before your first breath, carried faithfully through every heartbeat of your life. Your fear is ancient. Your heart knows exactly what it is doing, and somewhere in the deep, wordless part of you that the amygdala calls home, something is watching over you right now, the same way it always has, the same way it always will, making sure that no matter what comes next, you are ready.